When it comes to Rise of Skywalker, Puritan Media made one thing exceptionally clear. Rian Johnson was their boy, and accordingly, anything that tries to deviate or course correct from The Last Jedi, it will not be tolerated. Now, what's amazing about this is that you would think there are elements in The Rise of Skywalker these people would latch onto. In fact, they loved these elements in Episode 7. You know, the Force is female. Yeah, they loved that then, but they don't love it now. Why? Because there are nostalgic bits that are in this movie, and they feel that those are meant to placate a certain crowd out there, certain ists, certain phobes, and you can never do that. You can never do that indeed. So hey there. So today I want to return to that ultimate world of trash fires to talk about how Disney's Star Wars basically tried to embrace a certain crowd out there. And well, if you don't continue to do that, even if you lose money, you know you got a problem. This is an article by Time 2 showcasing that when you're Disney and when you don't walk lockstep, that time truly isn't on your side. It's amazing. Why it's problematic that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker retcons the plot of The Last Jedi. Isn't that beautiful? Now, before we get into this, number one, Merry Christmas to you. Definitely hope that you have a great year. And by the way, did you realize that YouTube's present today was purging hundreds of subscribers from this channel? Fun times. So, if you're subbed to it, make sure that you're still subbed. If you haven't, think about that. And also help us with our interactions if you'd like to. That means liking. That means commenting. You can just say +1. I mean, anything drives that stuff forward. And thank you in advance. And again, have a very Merry Christmas. And I hope your holidays are awesome. So when looking at this, first of all, we get to hear about why exactly Rian Johnson's movie was so great. And you know why that was? Because it questioned why fans and directors worship at the altar of old IP, intellectual property, instead of forging ahead with something new. Now, you do realize this is called Episode 8, right? Episode freaking 8. It wasn't meant to go out and to march in a new direction. It was meant to continue a story. And well, when you deviated from that, what you saw were hundreds of millions of dollars lost and all kinds of items out here. You know, talking about merchandising, talking about putting butts in beds when it comes to resorts, all types of stuff. But hey, continue to march on. They tell you, too, that if Rey's parents were nobodies, as Johnson tried to establish, that meant that not just Skywalkers and Palpatine could be heroes and villains of the story. Anyone could be a Jedi. Now, you realize that we already have a layout for how a Jedi is created. And we know that anyone, if they're born with certain elements there, anyone can command the Force. I mean, we have this. You get trained for it. There are already principles set down for that. But of course, we had to throw all of that out of canon. We had to pretend that so many of these elements weren't there because, hey, you know, the past, as they love to say here, to quote Kylo, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. So, you know, if you went out and you killed the past, as in Episode 8, though, that was wrong. You have to go out and you have to undo everything else. Now, then they tell you what the real problem is with this. They give you this wonderful paragraph, and I'm just going to read this to you. Johnson's thesis offered a way forward for films too often bogged down by their predecessors, and yet it proved rather unpopular, with a small but loud contingent of fans who have put quite a bit of time and energy into a worship of what came before, namely Luke Skywalker. The harassment targeted at Johnson and several cast members, you can see who they note there, manifested in a campaign to remake The Last Jedi. There are, of course, legitimate critiques of the movie not rooted in ism, but as with all things on the internet, the bigots tend to try and find a way to be the loudest. You notice they couldn't even spell the internet correctly, and that it really threw me off. Looking at that, though, you worship at the shrine of Skywalker. I mean, how ridiculous is that? I enjoy watching Luke Skywalker move forward, but I enjoy all the elements that work within this too. I enjoy the idea that we have this empire, that the way that it works, you know, seeing that mechanism throughout movies. I even enjoyed the way that certain things were established within the prequels. You know, one thing I can always say for the prequels, we look at the build of something. You know, by episode 3, we actually have the fundamentals of not just who a Vader is, but we also have the fundamentals to who the Empire actually is. You know, we can understand that. And see, these things, these people don't get that. Washing all of that away with basically Battlestar Galactica dumbed down. Ooh, a ship's chasing me. They can't catch up. We're going to do the dumbest things ever possible. Yeah, that really didn't make it any better. They continue too. Now, we've seen this kind of thing before, they note. And look at their examples. We saw that with Leslie Jones. We saw that with Captain Marvel. We've seen that with Rotten Tomatoes and Brigading. You know, it's amazing. So it's not surprising that a film in which an iconic male hero reveals himself to be a rather cynical grump and a new female hero rises to become even more powerful than the man who came before would rankle a loud subset of fans. I mean, see, like I said, you want to know why people are irritated? Because Rian Johnson, he not only went out and gave people that write stuff like this a movie, but also he mimed what they were saying. He actually went out, if you had a problem with that, he would spit in your face for it. And that tells you exactly what you get because of that. Then they complain about how Abrams here, he seemed to capitulate to that contingent of fans with the rise of Skywalker. If Johnson begged the franchise to let the past go, Abrams counters with a movie obsessed with history that literally resurrects every important character from the original George Lucas trilogy as Force Ghosts, memories, and a case of Palpatine. Yeah, that's something that people complained about too. They didn't want that to come back because it erases so many things that came before it. And that has nothing to do with reverence for the past. These people, they can't understand that. This was a low bar exploitation of the movies that came before it. It's setting down and then trying to bring elements back. So later on, you know, on the flip side, you can actually sell items. You can actually put people in seats because they want to see that favorite character come back. But it's not something that people ask for. They ask for a good storyline, something that's respectful or even shows reverence to what came before. How hard is that? You know what people want with Star Wars. It's not a complicated formula. Comic books, you know, regular books. We've had so many things that have gone out and understood that. But the people putting these movies together, they don't seem to get it. You can see them go on and talk about this quite a bit too. You know, oh, you mad about Johnson's cheekiness? Don't worry. There's a scene in Rise of Skywalker and where Luke awkwardly explains that he was wrong when he said the Jedi Order needed to end and that Rey should go confront the big bad Emperor Palpatine to save the Jedi religion. So, I mean, you see the way that they carry this forward, and they're so mad about it too. I mean, it amazes me to look at the way all of this plays forward. And they complain about characters like with Kelly Marie Tran being quote unquote sidelined. Didn't get enough of that. So they complain about nostalgia. They complain about the past and letting it die, while also complaining about how they didn't get their favorite characters, how they didn't get the movie that they wanted, and how, well, all of that, it placates a certain crowd. You see the problem with this, like I say. The only difference is, like, if I'm going to complain about what these people want from movies, I'm not going to call them ists and phobes. I'm not going to go out and try to derail their lives because they want certain elements within something. That's their game. That's the ugliness to it. And at the end of the day, too, they don't pay for this stuff. Oh, sure, they may put together articles, they may push it, but they do not sell anything. They don't actually get you to buy merchandise. They don't actually get people to go out and feel excited. If they did, then we would have seen that last movie actually result in quite a few sales, but it didn't. Critics can't sell anything. They don't even pay for their tickets. But anyway, you tell me what you think about this stuff. I would encourage you to go out and look at this too. There's quite a bit of article here. I just don't want to go through the whole stinking thing. Because, you know, but fans don't make make great filmmakers. Their reverence for what came before leaves little room for artistry or invention, and their bullying ruins the fun, both on camera and off, because fans suck. Isn't that fun? But anyway, you tell me what you think. Ending this, I want to thank you for showing up. Again, I hope you have a Merry Christmas here, and I want to thank you for your time. You can help out with interactions, true, but you just being here, that means something. These folks, they forgot that, and woe be it unto them for doing so. Never want to be that, so like I say every time, I want to end by saying thank you. I appreciate you, and we'll do this again soon. Thanks.